Greetings, esteemed GPI delegates, members, and summit attendees. Thank you to the IAS President Singh, the National E-Governance Division of the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, for inviting us to bring you our technical talk as part of the Research Symposium. Finally, thank you to the Government of India for hosting this annual summit and allowing us to send you our recording in lieu of being there in person. I'm Gisele Waters, Working Group Chair of the Developing P3119 IEEE Standard for the Procurement of AI and Automated Decision Systems. Together with my Vice Chair, Dr. Cari Miller, we will be presenting our talk on Raising the Standard for AI Procurement, Global Opportunity and Challenges. The Standards Association is the operational development arm of IEEE that houses technical communities, councils, and committees. In addition to its global and technical reach, IEEE has already published 7 AI governance standards for social impact, mostly addressing design and deployment. Today we will introduce you to one in development focused on AI procurement, the future P3119 standard. It is estimated governments worldwide spend up to $11 trillion contracting for goods and services for the public sector overall, and approximately $600 billion of that on information technology across segments. That's quite an opportunity to use procurement as a market-shaping mechanism, a gatekeeping and market-shaping mechanism that can create a clear demand for adopting and deploying responsible AI solutions, one that can potentially also solve market failures. This is also a unique opportunity to use voluntary consensus-based standards like P3119 to help support government AI strategies struggling to find ways to place guardrails around AI without constraining AI innovation. One of the many lessons government agencies can learn from Australia's robo-debt solution procured and administered by their Services Australia and the human rights implications in the Dutch case, in addition to hundreds, if not thousands, of similar cases worldwide, is that innovating technology policy and governance with automated decision systems and their big brother AI, as they intersect with society, is that government agencies need to raise the standard in how they practice and administrate the procurement of these technologies. This is especially true as it relates to using AI-enabled technology when making high-risk and critical decisions for the populace. For example, access to internal revenue services, educational assistance, housing, welfare, work opportunities, health services, and more. In this talk, we introduce the opportunities, challenges, and an overview of the standards process model and how it can address the challenges in procuring and adopting responsible AI. The P3119 standard's primary aim is to give government agencies the opportunity to strengthen their requirements and administrative processes for AI procurement, commissions, solicitations, and tenders. This is meant to be added to existing local, national, and transnational regulatory regimes. The new standard will offer complementary normative process guidance that can be applied from pre-solicitation to contract monitoring. This is our purpose and our why for developing this new category of standard. IEEE wants to address the gaps between law and practice in this procurement area that is challenging so many governments today. The multi-layered complexity of AI systems and processing of large community datasets have presented technical and socio-technical challenges to institutional capacity. Research worldwide shows public actors in government agencies rarely understand the AI systems they are procuring and deploying. In essence, traditional government procurement models globally have yet to adapt their acquisition operations, jurisdictional laws, and procedural requirements to match the complexity and unique risks of AI systems and public datasets. Whereas other AI procurement approaches, such as these listed here, offer AI literacy, best practices, organizational AI readiness principles, and red flags for vetting technology vendors in the public sector, P3119 offers how-to process guidance across the procurement lifecycle with expanded AI transparency protocols. It also offers detailed activities and tasks in normative guidance, such as how to evaluate and define a perceived government problem that may require an AI solution or not, how to identify a government agency's risk appetite, how to assess and measure vendor answers to essential AI governance questions, and how to prompt a vendor to evaluate an AI solution across multiple criteria beyond model cards. Since we are at the GPI Annual Summit and the UK is a member, I want to acknowledge their positive attempts at making progress on how they address AI procurement. The UK is not a stranger to building or testing AI procurement guidance. The UK guidelines for AI procurement were published in 2020. They are aimed at central government departments considering the suitability of AI solutions to improve existing and future services. They use the World Economic Forum's AI procurement toolbox in 2 case studies in their Department of Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy and the Food Standards Agency. Furthermore, the UK also recently approved their new Procurement Act in 2023, which transforms the way public procurement is regulated. In addition, one of their local government associations expressed interest in partnering with us in a regulatory sandbox. All this is to say that as a nation, more than all others we've studied thus far, they seem to be explicitly trying to get it right. Their interest in our standard could be interpreted as an attempt to lean further into more robust administrative guidance that has yet to address task-level activity and process details often needed for operational traction. In summary, for my part, in the space between old processes and AI, the gaps where governments and AI vendors should learn new ways of working together when procuring AI for the public interest, that is where P3119 was born. Global consensus building on the standards process model began in 2021 with working group members across 12 countries. Today, consensus building continues with dedicated writers across 6 countries diligently drafting each process component and building out a related set of practical administrative tools, including weighted rubrics and scoring guides. I will let Dr. Cari Miller share with you the technical and socio-technical value offering.
Thank you, Gisele. That was a great overview of where we're headed with the standard. I just wanted to take a moment to reiterate why we are so passionate about why AI procurement is such an important governance tool for every governing body. What we know about AI is that the advantages and risks coexist within each solution. That is especially true when we have systems that make high-risk decisions or critical decisions about humans. By that, I mean decisions that can literally impact a person's life, deciding whether or not they receive support for a medical condition, whether or not they are eligible for housing subsidies, or maybe whether or not they can get a grant or a loan to go to a university. These are just a few examples of life-altering decisions. And when we use AI to aid in those decisions, we can gain some tremendous advantages in terms of efficiency, productivity, automation, and sophisticated analysis. So people don't wait as long to hear the answers, and so the answers are more consistent and accurate. But research also tells us that these systems can produce biases and discriminatory output that leads to inequities. They can cause individuals to lose their benefits, their access, their privacy, or worse, their dignity with added scale. So our goal with P3119 is to provide a standardized process that can help government agencies take advantage of the great benefits of AI while simultaneously identifying the risks so that they can be controlled and mitigated. So how do we do that? Well, we use a process model. P3119 is a process standard. So when you read the standard, you'll see this same pattern in each of the sub-processes. These are the discrete elements. Every step in each of the sub-processes follows the same pattern. We start with a purpose, then define the scope for that particular sub-process step, and then we explain the outcomes you should expect. The next 2 items are where the real work lives. The activities and tasks describe exactly what to do to accomplish the process. Note the inputs and outputs are there to manage your expectations about what you will need in order to carry out the activities and tasks and what deliverables you will have when you finish all the steps. So this standard has 5 processes. I'll explain those in a minute, but before I do, I wanted to also share why this particular standard is a little different from others. This standard is extremely practical in a number of ways. First, we took extra care to make sure that it can fit in with your existing procurement or tender processes. This is not meant to replace anything you're already doing. This is only meant to address the additional risks and advantages that AI presents because, AI is so unique. Second, we also took extra care to identify and create useful guides, templates, and rubrics. So this library of tools means that anyone that adopts this standard will have things like specific questions to ask their vendors, along with evaluation guides to help them understand if the vendor's responses are acceptable or risky, for example. So, all right, finally, let's talk about the 5 processes in the standard at a high level. So we conducted global research and found that these 5 areas are the most important junctures during the procurement lifecycle where AI risks can be effectively identified and, more importantly, managed. And that starts in stage 1, pre-procurement. This is where we must take time to identify the problem to ensure that we even need AI to begin with. And if we do need AI, this stage will require stakeholder engagement in order to help shape an effective set of requirements. In stage 2, this is when the procurement actually is in full swing. What our standard provides here is very specific questions, a scoring rubric, response evaluation guidance. It's one thing for us to help you know what to ask, but we felt it was even more important to give you tools to help evaluate those responses. In stage 3, we move on to contracting. From a risk management perspective, this stage is a critical opportunity to control your risks. Our guidance provides information on a variety of contract clauses to consider here. And finally, in stage 4, which is our post-procurement stage, we are monitoring our contract activities. As we know, AI is like a toddler. We have to watch its every move. We need to know who is using it, if it is being nice or mean to people, if it needs to have a timeout. Our guidance in this section identifies each key element of contract monitoring designed to control and manage further risks. So you might notice that I'm talking a lot about risks. While AI has many, many advantages, the standard does lean into the risk management side of AI. So to close our talk, I just want to talk to those of you who are in the risk management domain for a minute. This is what the standard looks like through the lens of risk management. So we begin with a legitimate business need, I hope. Then we establish a risk appetite using 2 important key risk indicators. How complex is the decision to be made, and the potential scale of the harms to the impacted individuals. Once we have established our risk appetite, then we can proceed to our risk assessment, which is the procurement. By that I mean risk assessment happens as you are evaluating your vendor proposals. Through that evaluation, you learn where you might have some lingering risks that need to be addressed. So the way you can control those risks is by using your contract, on your contract terms and conditions to be more specific, and your contract monitoring practices. And for good measure, you should have organizational policies about how you expect your staff to manage, use, and monitor your AI. At the end of the day, we would expect there to be a set of risk tolerance measures that help you know when your new AI system is performing beyond your risk tolerance, which may mean it needs adjusted before the consequences become more serious. So to conclude, P3119 sets out a pretty basic standard to help you manage AI for the public good, and we're glad to do it. Again, I'm Dr. Cari Miller, and I'd like to thank Dr. Gisele Waters for her discussion. We are more than happy to answer your questions. Please feel free to contact us at the email addresses on your screen. Thank you very much for your time today.